Hey, this is Mark Moore, also known as Tuxedo Mark, and welcome to the first episode of the Maniac Mansion podcast. This podcast is dedicated to Maniac Mansion, which is a 1987 graphic adventure video game developed and published by Lucasfilm Games. It has a sequel, it has a TV series that was loosely inspired by it. We'll get into all of that as the episodes go on. I have been a fan of this game since the mid-90s, I'd say. I don't remember exactly when I got into it. But suffice it to say that I am a long-time fan. There have been numerous ports of this game onto various different systems, but I was introduced to it through the port on the Nintendo Entertainment System. So that will be my primary reference point when discussing the game, although I will touch on all of the other different versions as well. As an example, whenever you hear music in this podcast, it will most likely be from the NES version of the game. I do have a bit of a history of doing podcasts. I did a podcast dedicated to the Castlevania series a number of years ago. And now I have decided to do one for Maniac Mansion. Now, obviously, Maniac Mansion is a much smaller franchise than Castlevania. So, I anticipate this podcast not running too long. Obviously, I'll get as many episodes as I can out of it, but don't expect it to go on for years. I anticipate putting out one episode per month. We'll see how that goes. This first episode will serve as a general overview of the game and the franchise. Later episodes will go into more detailed topics. For example, there will be episodes dedicated to each individual character, as well as each possible team-up of characters, each port of the game, an episode dedicated to music, an episode dedicated to the sequel game, Maniac Mansion 2 Day of the Tentacle, episodes dedicated to spiritual successors of Maniac Mansion. There will be an episode dedicated to the TV series, and perhaps some other subjects that I haven't anticipated yet. Also in each episode, I will highlight one piece of fan-made material. I will be hosting this podcast by myself. However, every so often, whenever I can get guests on, there will be a segment where the two of us just discuss a particular subject or Maniac Mansion in general. For example, in this episode, joining me will be my old childhood friend, Mike. He is the one that got me into Maniac Mansion, and so it'll be interesting to reconnect with him and just discuss the game. So stay tuned for that. Alright, so Now let's get into what Maniac Mansion is and what this franchise is all about. Maniac Mansion is a graphic adventure video game conceived by Ron Gilbert and Gary Winnick, who sought to tell a comedic story based on horror film and B-movie cliches. Maniac Mansion is primarily a comedic game with some hokey B-movie type horror mixed in. There are 7 possible playable characters in the game. These are all college students, and the basic objective is you play as Dave as well as 2 of his friends of your choice, but you must always play as Dave. He's always selected. Basically, Dave's girlfriend Sandy has been kidnapped by Dr. Fred, local mad scientist, and taken back to his mansion. So Dave and 2 of his friends must rescue Sandy. In the game, you try to solve puzzles and avoid dangers as you try to figure out what's going on and how to get Sandy out. The 7 playable characters in the first game include Dave, who is Sandy's boyfriend and organizer of her rescue, Razor, the leader of a band known as Razor and the Scummets, Bernard, a geek, or nerd, whatever you prefer, Sid, an aspiring musician hoping to start his own band, Wendy, an aspiring novelist, Jeff, a surfer dude that lives at the beach, and Michael, a photographer for the college newspaper. Depending on which combination of characters that you select, there will be different objectives to complete in order to advance and finish the game. Some of these characters have their own story arcs that you can fulfill in the game, while others don't. The non-playable characters in the first game include Dr. Fred, his wife Nurse Edna, their son Weird Ed, a mummy and possibly deceased relative named Dead Cousin Ted, 2 pet tentacles named Green Tentacle and Purple Tentacle, a talk show host named Wink Smiley, a guy at a company called 3 Guys That Publish Anything, a meteor police officer and his driver, a houseplant named Chuck the Plant, and an evil meteor bent on world domination. This is a point-and-click game, which means that you click on characters and objects on the screen as well as various commands in order to form sentences and accomplish actions. The game was originally published on the Commodore 64 and Apple II on October 5th, 1987, but it has been ported to the PC in 1988 and again in 1989. There was also an Amiga and Atari ST port in 1989, and it arrived on the Japanese Famicom in 1988 and on the NES in North America in 1990. Europe had to wait until 1992. There was also a fan-made version called Maniac Mansion Deluxe. We will cover each of these versions in detail in later episodes. As I previously mentioned, there was a sequel in 1993 called Maniac Mansion 2 Day of the Tentacle. The The original game inspired a Canadian-American sitcom created by Eugene Levy, which aired concurrently on YTV in Canada and the Family Channel in the United States for 3 seasons, from September 14, 1990 to April 4, 1993, for a total of 62 episodes. This series, besides the title and the character of Dr. Fred, bears almost no resemblance to the video game, but I will be devoting an episode to it. Alright, so now let's go to the chat with my friend Mike. Alright, we're here with my friend Michael Rohm. Hey, Mike.
Hello, Mark. How are you?
Alright, how are you?
I'm doing okay. It's very snowy up here and very, very cold. I kind of miss Florida in the winters.
If you were down here, you probably wouldn't, because the weather is whiplash down here. It's like cold one day, hot another day, cold in the morning.
Define Florida cold.
Well, it doesn't snow, but actually from like stuff that my mom told me, like northern cold is more bearable for her because here it's like wet cold, so it actually like chills you down to the bone.
I don't know. I mean, when I lived down there, it was more, it would get down to like 50 or 60, and that was the lowest that would get maybe 30. Whereas here, we've dropped below 0 a few times.
Huh.
And had a lot of snow ends and things like that. So, yeah, there's not much to be done.
Anyway, welcome to the show.
What's that?
Welcome to the show.
Oh, thank you.
So you're the one that got me into Maniac Mansion. Tell me how you got into it.
I think I got into it because I was reading the Power magazine, and then they were pushing in the Nintendo Power magazine. It looked really, really cool. This looked like a lot of fun. And so I got it for Christmas that year. I think it was 1990.
Yeah, 1990 was. Yeah, 19.
The way I go into it, probably just bringing the cartridge over to your house on one of the days that we would hang out.
Actually, I think I first saw it at your house.
Oh, maybe.
I think.
Maybe you gave it at my place.
Yeah, I think. Didn't you have your NES hooked up to a computer monitor at that time?
I did with my old Commodore monitor, I think.
Yeah, I think that's where I saw it. We were in your computer room playing the game, I think.
Yeah, I don't remember, but I remember looking at the pictures and reading everything and in the forum to see, this looked like a lot of fun. This looks really cool. So, like I said, I read it for Christmas that year of 1990, and I just fell in love with the game. And so, yeah, I didn't go over your place, or you came over to my place, or whatever, and I introduced you to it.
Do you remember,
What's that?
do you remember when you got me into it? Because I don't quite know which year that was.
Well, I think it was released on the Nintendo, which is the only version that I've ever played.
Okay.
Was 1990.
Yeah, it was released in 1990, and you got it in Christmas, you said? So.
Yeah, I did.
Okay.
So
It
it was
could.
either 1990 or 1991. I think it was actually released in September or so, stateside
Uh,
in the U.S. But I wanted it for Christmas, and so my parents got it for me, and so it was either 1990 or 1991.
Wikipedia. Yeah, Wikipedia says September 18, 1990 for the NES release.
Yeah, that's what I read too. So it just looked really cool because it would set up of all these, you know, steam turbines and, uh, nuclear power theater and uh, the jock and his cheerleader girlfriend and his his friends, and
Yeah.
it just looked like a really fun game.
Uh,
And I never heard of it before. I never played it on like the C64 or anything.
okay,
I played it and it completely uh, flown past my radar when it was originally released.
but
And
you had a
the
Commodore,
original
you had a Commodore,
Genesis.
you had a Commodore
I didn't
64,
even
right?
know that all the censorship that went down after with the Nintendo version until I got onto the internet. And I think it might have been you who sent me the article about it. Um, about how the game, they had censored a lot of like nude statues, classical statues, and naughty words and
Yeah.
things like. Um, so yeah, I introduced it to you somehow through that, and I think you really enjoyed the game as well.
Yeah.
And because we used to do that with a lot of games. I remember uh, the Bill and Ted game and Back to the Future and a lot of these different games. One of us would buy, and the other one would hang out and play.
And sometimes borrow,
What's that?
and sometimes borrow too. I remember I borrowed Maniac Mansion from you.
Yeah, we borrowed numbers, cartridges, and so forth.
It's
So, so I didn't even know that I listened to it or anything. I just thought it was a really fun game. And so so like I said, I introduced you to it. And let me think here. And so um, it was just really, it was a very innovative game at the time. And I can still remember a lot of the music from it.
oh yeah.
So the music was very memorable, and the characters were very memorable. Uh, there were a couple that were kind of extraneous, I think, like the surfer.
Yeah, Jeff.
But yeah, he didn't really have much of a role. I think he did telephones.
Yeah,
He did that with more than so much more.
yeah, you could do that with Bernard.
Yeah, I would usually just play Bernard and Razor, and because I always thought they were a really good team up, and so I would read Nintendo Now and learn how to do different things in the game. And, this was long before the internet, so you had to rely on hints and other people at school talking about it, things like that. Um, so,
Uh,
uh, yeah,
yeah, I think I've mostly used like Bernard and Sid, I think, and I think I picked Sid over Racer which they're basically the same character, but I think I,
Oh, yeah.
I think I picked Sid because I like his music better. I'm not sure.
Yeah. I like Razor more.
Mm.
Um, punk rock redhead girl.
Yeah.
I'm cool.
Did you know that the song titles for the kids' songs in the game are parodies of actual songs?
Oh, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Um, the boys, I remember Dave's was a parody of The Boys Are Back in Town.
Yeah.
I don't remember
Uh,
the names.
I,
I don't really remember the names of the songs.
I pieced together a list from like a few different sources of people saying which songs are parodies of what. Um,
Mm-hmm.
Wendy's is like Sonatina in G minor or something, and that's like a Beethoven piece,
Yeah.
or it's a parody of one at least. Um,
She was doing the classical music
yeah.
and um, Sid was into new wave music.
Sid's was Psychedelic Breed by Metal Flake, and for the longest time I couldn't figure out what that was supposed to be a parody of, but I asked my friend Taylor, who's really into music, and he's written like I think he's written books about rock history and stuff, and he guessed it's a parody of let's see, it was a Pink Floyd song. I'm trying to think of the title. Um,
Hmm.
Alan's Psychedelic Breakfast.
Yeah, I don't know.
Well, that's the only song title that we could find with psychedelic in the title, so and
Yeah,
breakfast, so maybe.
yeah. I don't really remember any of the titles,
Yeah.
like I said.
Razor.
I just remember the music.
Yeah,
And I think Bernard was into like synth pop.
yeah. Bernard's was compunerd by the rocket scientists, and apparently that title is a parody of "Girl You Want" by Devo.
Oh, maybe. That's very possible.
And Razor's was "No No Never Never Well Maybe Sure Okay" by The Void. And that apparently is a parody of a song called "Never Say Never" by Romeo Void.
Oh, yeah, Romeo Boy, yeah. Yeah, that's the band that did I Might Like You Better If We Slept Together. You remember that chorus? I
Uh,
might like you better if we slept together.
I think that one song that "Never Say Never" was the only one of theirs that I've heard so far. Um,
Yeah, I don't think they had any other big songs. It was just that one. But it's a really good song.
yeah, Dave's theme was "The Boys Are Still Back" by Fat Patty.
Not Matter, yeah. And it was a parody of Thin Lizzy.
Yeah.
And the Boys Are Back in Town.
Michael's was Flashbulb Funk by Princess, and my best guess is that's a parody of Weekend Funk by Prince.
That's, yeah. I don't know that much about Prince, honestly, so
Mm.
um, I was never really big into him aside from a couple of hits. So I don't know his music well enough to say yes or no.
Mm.
And this was before I got into this game before I got into a lot of music. Um, so I wasn't really thinking about those things when I was playing the game. It was only like much later that I started to realize, oh wait, that's what this is poking fun at or parodying.
Yeah.
Because I didn't really listen to music until I mean I listened to music like Top 40 radio, but I didn't listen to like my own
Yeah.
with Ozzy and Sabbath and Maiden and all that.
Yeah.
Um, and that was a few years later. That was when I went into high school, and I think Jason Crick
Yeah.
lent me a tape of Ozzy,
Hmm.
and I really loved it. And so that started my descent into heavy metal fandom. Um, but yeah, at the time I didn't really know that it was parodies of anything. I just really enjoyed it.
Yeah.
And the songs were so catchy and very memorable.
I Yeah, I actually like recorded the songs onto one of my old computers using like audio cables, and I played the song in the game, and I recorded the audios onto my computer. I made like different wave files of each of the different songs, and I ended up making like a soundtrack album.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
That's awesome. I didn't know that. I would have asked for a copy.
I actually did send you one.
Did you? Okay.
Yeah, I did, and he didn't know what it was because all that I wrote on the disc was Maniac Mansion. And at one point, I was chatting with you, and I asked you if you looked at the stuff that I sent you. I guess I must have sent you a few things. I'm not sure. And you were like, everything except Day of the Tentacle. And I'm like, it's not Day of the Tentacle. It's a homemade soundtrack album that I made. And you were like, oh. Because I guess you thought I was just
I don't remember.
yeah, I guess you thought I made you a copy of my copy of Day of the Tentacle, and I remember playing that and you didn't seem to care for it, so I'm guessing you thought that that's what it was, so you just didn't like look at the CD.
That's entirely possible.
Yeah.
Um, Although Day of the Tentacle is now on Xbox.
Oh,
It's on Game Pass. They remade it for the Xbox.
just the X. It's not on like PS3 or PS4 or anything.
I don't know. I don't have a PlayStation.
That
It might be. It probably is. I just know that
it
it was
it
on
actually it
the
it actually is.
Game Pass, and so I recently downloaded it again. I
Yeah.
haven't started playing it again.
It's on.
I really wish they would remake Maniac Mansion for the newer systems for the Xbox and the PlayStation.
But you know what? The original game is an Easter egg within Day of the Tentacle.
Yeah. Oh, is it?
Yeah, you go and play the computer in Weird Ed's room. It has the original game on it.
Oh, okay. I didn't know
I don't know if the remake has it though. I don't know that. I know the original PC version does.
that. Okay, I'll have to check it. It probably does.
You know what? I see here it's on the PS4, which I don't have a PS4 because I just haven't gone around to buying one. I'm thinking maybe I should hold out for the PS5 because it'll be backwards compatible. Yeah, so I heard like the PS5 is supposed to be like backwards compatible with like 99.9% of PS4 games, so I might just wait. Huh? I might just wait until the PS5 is in stock and get that.
Yeah.
That-
I'm looking for an Xbox, one of the new Xboxes.
Yeah.
Because I already have everything on Xbox, so
Hmm.
I don't see any reason to switch. A friend gave me his old 360, and so I've been trading up since then. And right now I have an Xbox One, and I figure when we get the stimulus check, I'll probably get an Xbox, one of the upgraded ones,
Hmm.
the Xbox S or
Yeah.
X or whatever it is.
Yeah. I got a okay. Oh, I got a bit of a story regarding when you let me borrow your cartridge. Um, so I borrowed it. I took it home, and this was back when I had my NES hooked up to an old small TV in the dining room. Yeah.
The breezeway?
No, this was in the dining room.
Oh, yeah, the dining room, right.
Yeah. And I put it in and it wouldn't work. And it was weird, so I called you up and you were like, blow into it. Which I know that was a thing that supposedly worked, but whether it actually worked or not, I don't know. But so
It actually worked for me.
yeah, so I tried it. My mom, I think, took her hair dryer and blew into the cartridge with her hair dryer. I'm not sure, but it still wouldn't work. So my mom drove me back over to your place, and you had some friends over. So I came into your room. You were hanging out with your friends. I don't know if Jason was there, maybe some others. And you see, I don't remember exactly when I got into Maniac Mansion.
Yeah.
When exactly that was.
It was
Um,
probably 1991. Because like I said, I got it for Christmas in 1990.
yeah.
Christmas 1990. So it was either we hung out shortly after Christmas or sometime after the New Year.
Yeah, because we had met in May of 1990 toward the end of sixth grade. Um,
Yeah.
and then we didn't see each other again until sometime in seventh grade. I was eating lunch with someone, and you came up behind me and was like, "Well, looky what we have here." So, so then I turned around in my seat and I saw you, and I started doing the rain dance in my seat. And then you sat down and joined me, and that was that.
Yeah. And a fun time.
Yeah.
I still remember you doing that right
Yeah, that was how we met. I just I don't know, I was weird back then. I just pretended like I was gonna do a rain dance to make it rain or something, and
now.
it was during a block party at our school. Our
Yeah, it was a block party.
yeah, we were the Blazers because each hallway had like a different name for
Right.
we were the Blazers. So it's like the hallway was sealed off. They had like these doors at in the hallways that they closed that sealed off the hallway, and like each classroom was like part of the whole party. And yeah, so I don't know, I was weird. I just started doing a rain dance, and apparently you had gotten wind of it, and uh, you were like, "Listen, kid, you cannot make it rain."
But weren't you just doing something from
I think
Perfect Strangers?
I don't
I'm pretty sure you got the rain dance from Balky.
I don't re no I'm pretty I might have been inspired by something. I don't know exactly, maybe, but I think I just made up the dance and the words on my own. It was just rain, rain around the world, rain, rain around the world, something like that. Uh,
And you were dancing.
yeah,
I
I
don't think it was I always thought it was about.
I don't think Balky did a rain dance. I mean, I know he did weird stuff on Perfect Strangers, but I don't think he did a rain dance.
I always thought you got the rain dance from Balky.
No, I think I just made it up. If I did get it from somewhere, I don't remember where.
You have such a better memory than me, so it's definitely possible that it was just something you made up on the fly.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, I remember the rain.
And anyway, so back to the story. I come into your room and you take the cartridge. You kind of hit on it a little bit, you blow into it, you stick it in your NES, you turn it on, works. So you just hand it back to me, and I walk out, and my mom's like, "Well," and I'm like, "It works." So, and then I took it home, and it worked for me as well. So I don't know what the deal with that was.
I have magic powers.
Yeah.
I am a sorcerer. I am the sorcerer supreme when it comes to fixing NES cartridges.
Yeah. Now, I kind of assumed, or I kind of thought at least, that you might have played the original Commodore 64 version of the game, because didn't you have the Commodore 64?
I did, yeah, but somehow it just completely bypassed me. I don't know why.
Yeah.
Well, a lot of my Commodore games were pirated
Ah.
because my mom worked with a woman whose son was in the Commodore hacking scene.
Hmm.
And so he would hack the games, he would crack the copyright protection or whatever. And so every week she'd come home with a big box of discs. And so that's where a lot of my games came from.
Ah.
Was from this was from this person's son, a sweet dad. Just talking to my dad.
Hmm.
And so that's how I got most of my games. So it may not have ever popped up in any of those boxes. I played a lot of games on my C64, but I loved my C64.
Eh.
But somehow it just passed me by entirely.
Hmm.
And it wasn't until, like I said, I saw it in Nintendo Power that I was like, oh, that was so cool. Because I had watched a lot of those old B horror movies and sci-fi movies when I was younger on Dr. Paul Bearer. I don't know if you remember him.
No.
He was the horror host
Ah.
at Tampa for WTOG, and he was this guy that he would show really bad movies from the 50s. No Wolfman or
Ah. So,
Dracula or anything good. It was all like really awful 50s B movie sci-fi crap.
was this like late night or something?
What's that?
Was this like a late night thing or what?
No, it was in the afternoon.
Oh,
It was in the afternoon.
on weekends or what?
On YouTube.
Huh.
He's passed on, but he's still very popular in Tampa culture. At least he was. I don't know. I mean, people who are old enough still remember him. I don't think any of the younger people really know anything about him. Although there was a guy who took up his name, and I think he had a show for a while. I don't know if it's still on, but that was after my time.
Hmm.
So I watched a lot of these movies, so it just looked like a lot of fun.
Yeah.
And it was a good enough of 50s movies and nuclear anxiety, all of that, which we were still dealing with in the 80s and even the early 90s because of Russia, and it wasn't until like the Berlin Wall fell and communism fell and all of that. But so yeah, I remember, like I said, I just saw it in Nintendo Power. I just thought it looked really, really, really fun. Um, and I enjoyed it quite a bit. Um, but I haven't played it in years, obviously.
Yeah.
Um, they don't. Well, I played it on an emulator, but I don't have a computer right now that works. Um, I just use my Xbox.
Mm.
So if it's not on Xbox, I don't really play it.
Mm.
Okay. You know, like old Castlevania games and stuff on Xbox. So I can use play those. You
Yeah.
know, Mega Man games.
Mm. Yeah, I might have to get like a copy of the PC version off Steam.
Yeah, it's probably on Steam or GOG or something like that. In fact, I'm pretty sure I saw it on both when I was Googling it earlier to do a little bit of research for the podcast.
Yeah. Yeah, but yeah, mostly I'm familiar with the NES version because that's what introduced me to the game. So,
Right,
yeah.
same here.
And I even though it was like censored and stuff like that, I still would probably prefer to it would probably be my preferred version to play simply because of the music.
Right, exactly.
As far
Exactly.
as far as I know, the earlier versions of the game, the only music that it had, I think, was the theme song, like the theme music, and
Yeah,
others, all the other music, I think, was made just for the NES version.
yeah. Um, and I love the music. I always thought it was really great. And so sometimes I would put on the game just to listen to the music, just to put on like Sid or whoever and
Yeah,
listen to take a song
yeah,
or art or whoever. Because it was all really good music.
yeah.
And now you can get it all on like
You can,
chiptunes
and
and things like that.
you can find it on YouTube too.
Yeah, but I have an app on my phone that plays old Nintendo uh, music, and you find the files, and you can just listen to them right on your phone. And they have that for the C64 as well, and probably other platforms as well. So I can still hear it, but I haven't played the game for
Yeah.
quite some time.
Yeah, I think the last time that I really sat down and played was in, trying to remember, 2007, 2009. I forget when I did a speed run because, and I recorded it. I hooked up my NES to my DVD recorder. I recorded a speed run of it because I want to submit it to Speed Demos Archives. Yeah, I recorded it on November 9, 2007, but I guess I never sent it in or I never heard back from them about it. So back on September 26, 2016, I just decided to upload it to my YouTube channel. And it's a speed run with Dave, Sid, and Bernard. And it probably doesn't break like any kind of record because I don't like exploit any kind of glitches or anything like that. I just try to get through the game as quickly as possible with those three characters. I kind of planned it out beforehand. I typed it up in like Notepad, like each action that I would do in order, and then I just quickly went and did it, and I came to a time of 13 minutes and 24 seconds. But I've seen YouTube videos where they've done it faster, so
Yeah, I've never really watched speed runs, so I don't know.
some of that stuff is insane what they can do.
Yeah, I've watched a few of them, but it's not really something that I'm huge into.
Yeah.
Um, I prefer to be playing the game rather than watching it. I don't get into like let's play or any of that either.
Mm.
You know, it's like if I'm going to be watching somebody else play the game, why don't I just get the game and play it myself?
Mm.
Unless it's something brand new.
Uh, something that I've recently been watching is like NES Tetris competitions, which apparently has really taken off in recent years. Um, what one video that I recently watched was like who could get the best world records for most lines cleared in a game of NES Tetris where you're not allowed to flip the pieces.
Oh, interesting. No, I didn't even know about that.
Yeah.
I love Tetris.
Hmm. Yeah, apparently there are like annual world championships and all that stuff, and there are people.
I didn't know any of that.
Yeah, just go on YouTube and look for like NES Tetris. You'll find a whole bunch of people trying to break records and go for all these weird goals and stuff like that.
I'll have to do that. Yeah, I never really, I never really looked for that kind of. I didn't know that existed. So I'll have to check that out definitely.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, I used to love Tetris back in the day. I think it's still on Xbox.
Uh, and it's probably on like the the Nintendo Entertainment System online on Switch. I can probably go on there and play it. I would imagine.
Oh yeah, I don't have a Switch, so I don't know.
Yeah, I just recently got one last year.
Oh, cool.
It's a really good console. It's actually my first Nintendo console that I got new since the NES.
Wow, okay.
Yeah. Oh, I remember um, years ago, you submitted a bunch of video game reviews to my Captain N website. It was called
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah, it was called Disco Ducks Video Game Reviews, and
yeah.
and one of them was for Maniac Mansion. And about Jeff, you wrote, "Dude, he reminds me of Jeff Spicoli."
No, he does.
Yeah,
He was very clearly based on Jeff Spicoli.
yeah.
That was very obvious.
Mm.
Um, yeah, I never understood his inclusion in the game because he really couldn't do anything except fix
I,
like I said.
I think from what I read, like in the original version of the game, he was barefoot, and so he wouldn't make sounds while he walked. So I guess he could like I don't know avoid detection or something. I don't know if that's accurate, but
Right. Huh. That I didn't know. I mean, I knew there was something of him not wearing shoes, but I didn't
they gave him shoes.
think.
Yeah, they gave him shoes in the NES version, but I think in the original he was barefoot. And I think I remember reading somewhere that he wouldn't be spotted as easily or something. Maybe I don't know if that's true or not. It's just something that I recall reading.
Huh. Yeah, no, I didn't know that.
Hmm.
I've never actually, I never really worked with that character
Yeah.
because he just seemed so extraneous to me that I didn't see any point in playing as him. But like I said, I always, I wasn't any option for Razor and Bernard for my playthroughs.
I'm pretty sure that when I borrowed the game from you and when you eventually traded it to me, that I probably tried every team up imaginable. I don't.
I probably did too.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, I don't think I actually.
In fact, I remember. I don't remember when the trade happened, but I remember I traded Super Mario Brothers 3 to you for it.
Really?
Yeah.
I thought I owned Super Mario Bros. So I didn't realize that I had traded it.
Yeah. Yeah, I remember also I traded you Ninja Turtles 1 and 3. I never got 2, but I traded you 1 and 3 for Mega Man 2 and 3.
Oh yeah, yeah. I remember. Wasn't Ninja Turtles 2 the one based on the arcade game?
Yeah, and for some reason I never got that one. Maybe it just wasn't available on the day that I got the others, but I don't know.
Maybe. The first one was really difficult.
Huh?
It was the first Ninja Turtles game was impossible.
Hmm.
But the third one was it was like Turtles in Time, I think.
No, Turtles in Time. Turtles in Time was the fourth one. It was the one on the Super NES. The third one was the third one was the Manhattan Project.
Oh, okay. I don't. I don't remember. I remember. I love the arcade version. So
Yeah, I remember playing the arcade version at the Roller Barn. We
yeah,
went roller skating every so often, and I would play it there.
I played it at the arcade in the what was our local mall, and we had that arcade. And, I played both The Simpsons, which I loved, and the Ninja Turtles, Altered Beast, all of these different games on Gauntlet and all of this on the Nintendo. And so yeah, when Turtles 2 came out, the game, I was really excited because I love the arcade version. I really enjoyed it quite a bit. And it wasn't obviously as technologically advanced as the arcade version because Nintendo cannot replicate the arcade experience because it doesn't have the graphics and all of that. But it was still a pretty cool game.
Hmm.
Did you ever play Doom on NES?
Play what? Play?
Did you ever play Ninja Turtles 2 on the NES?
No, I don't think I did.
Oh, okay. I'm pretty sure I owned it. I could have.
Well, maybe. I don't know if you did own it. Maybe I did play it, but I don't recall.
Because I love the arcade version of it, and so I made sure to get that particular game as soon as I could. Once I had enough allowance money
Hmm.
to pick it up, I would. And so it was really one of those really great games, and a really enjoyable port. It wasn't, like I said, as good as the original arcade as it could possibly be. It didn't have the room for all the voice acting and um, all of that, but and the much better graphics and all of that. But it was still a lot of fun.
One thing regarding that homemade Maniac Mansion soundtrack album that I made is that in addition to the game music, I would put on the original songs that the kids
Yeah.
yeah, yeah, at, at least only the ones that I could identify at the time, because I hadn't identified at that point all of which all of the songs that the titles were parodies of.
Right.
So
I
for
don't think we
so
didn't have the internet then.
yeah, so I think for well, no, we did because this was like 2001, 2002. Yeah, but for like Bernard, I think I used She Blinded Me with Science.
Yeah, I think that it was a variety of craft work, honestly. Do you know who they are?
No.
They were this German uh, electronic band, and they came out in the 70s, and they inspired a lot of new wave bands, and they were very popular at the time.
Mm.
And I mean, they still are, but they kind of they were kind of like the Black Sabbath of electronic music. You know, they were the first people who started really seriously using electronic instruments instead of acoustic instruments to or electric instruments to compose songs. And their most popular song I think is called Autobahn.
Mm. I think I could imagine Bernard being into them.
What's that?
I think I could imagine Bernard being into
Oh,
them.
yeah, definitely. You would definitely.
Also, probably Thomas Dolby. But
Oh, yeah.
he did like She Blinded Me with Science, right? Um,
Oh,
he
yeah.
did
He
that.
did
Uh, he'd probably also be a fan of like Weird Science by Oingo Boingo.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
Jane Wolfman and all of that kind of stuff.
yeah. For uh, for Wendy, I didn't know which Beethoven piece really that her song was a parody of, so I just used Ode to Joy. Um,
Yeah.
for
That's a very good piece.
yeah,
And that's a really good Beethoven piece. So, all of Symphony 9 is really incredible. So, um, I'm not surprised that you would use that.
yeah.
I don't really remember. I didn't even know a lot of them were parodies. I just knew that they were. Because, like I said, I didn't really listen to music beyond like top 40
Mm.
radio.
Well, yeah, I think the thing that clued me into it was just the boys are still back by Fat Patty.
Yeah.
I think I at least knew the song "The Boys Are Back in Town" just because Uncle Jesse and his band The Rippers performed it in an episode of Full House. So
Right. See, you and your encyclopedic knowledge of 90s and 80s sitcom, it amazes me. I can't remember. I can barely remember my name half the time. And you're just like, oh yeah, in 1992, on episode 51 of season 3, Jesse, Jesse did this and Danny did that. And I'm like, how the fuck do you remember any of this stuff?
I don't know. I mean, I don't
I
know.
swear, you have an amazing memory.
It's weird. Yeah, I have this uncanny long-term memory of like a whole bunch of useless stuff, but oftentimes I have a horrible short-term memory, and sometimes I forget what I came in a room to do.
I will do that though.
Yeah.
That's pretty common. I do that quite a bit myself. I'll get up and I'll just be like, and this is like 5 seconds later. I'll just be like, wait, what was I gonna do?
Mhm.
Oh yeah, I was gonna, refill the cat bowl, or I was gonna, do whatever. But I can never really remember.
Yeah, sometimes I'll it'll slip my mind, and then I'll see my cat staring at me, and I'll be like, "Oh yeah, you want food, right?"
Oh, Raven will tell me. Raven will tell me really loudly, I need food, I need water, and I need them now. And then she'll stare at me and meow and just look very cross that I'm not at her beck and command.
Mm.
And I'm trying to rest or whatever,
Mm.
because my body hurts. Um, and she doesn't care. She's like, I want food. So I'll get up and get her food and give her water and all of that. I think I'm probably going to ghost them. So this was fun.
Yeah.
I'm sorry I'm being um, but I'd like to do this again.
Yeah,
Not kind of it's a lot of fun talking to you again.
yeah, same here.
I haven't in quite some time.
Yeah.
Nothing, I mean, like actually physically.
Yeah, the last time was in 2003. I visited you that one time when after you moved to Ocala.
Yeah, yeah. Um,
Because I believe you moved there in 2000. I believe you moved there in May of 2001. So that was the last time that you were over at my house. And then in 2003, I had to go to like some kind of company thing at a park or whatever. It was like some kind of team building hangout type of thing for all of the employees from all of the different offices from the office that I was working at the time. So my friend Tommy was driving us to Ocala, and I'm like, on the way home, I mean, my friend Mike moved out here, so I had gotten your address, and we just stopped by for a while.
yeah, I remember that. Alright, so I'm gonna let you go and then
All right,
order something in.
all right.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, it was nice talking to you.
Yeah, we should do this again.
Oh yeah, like if you haven't, yeah,
What's that?
I think for like later episodes, I'm gonna do like character specific episodes and team up specific episodes and an episode specifically for the music, an episode specifically for the NES version, stuff like that. So whichever one that you feel like contributing to, then let me know and we can set it up.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. Well, I'm always free, so I'm available anytime. So just let me know.
Yeah, well, I think I'm gonna do like one episode per month.
Just let me know when you want to do it again,
Okay.
and I'll be more than happy to do it.
All right. All right. Talk to you later, man.
Take care.
You too. All right, now I want to highlight some fan made material. And this could be anything. It could be fan fiction, fan art, fan rendition of a piece of music, anything from the fan community. So I thought for this first episode, I'd just share a link to my speedrun of the NES version of the game. I recorded this speedrun on November 9, 2007, and published it on YouTube on September 26, 2016. In the game, I used Dave, Sid, and Bernard. This is a non-tool-assisted speedrun. I don't exploit any glitches or anything like that. It's just me trying to get through the game as quickly as possible without really exploiting anything. It runs 13 minutes and 24 seconds long. Just go on YouTube and search for Maniac Mansion NES Speedrun Dave Sid Bernard non-TAS. Or if you're listening to this podcast on YouTube, then there will be a link in the description. So that does it for the first episode of Maniac Mansion Podcast. Let me know what you thought. Also, if you're a Maniac Mansion fan and you feel like you would have something to contribute in a future episode, then feel free to contact me and you can be a guest on a future episode. Alright, until next time, thanks for listening.